Hello and welcome to my quick review of the WLToys Q353 Triphibian quadcopter. I got this for review very kindly from Banggood, and I do appreciate it for an unbiased review. And I've got to say, for the money that they're talking, it's not a bad little thing at all. It is waterproof hull. There is foam buoyancy aids just in that little bit there. It's got undercarriage for obviously land use, which seemed quite tough, but the hull is actually waterproofed. I don't know if you can see there is a touch of waterproof grease. There's a gasket on the top there which covers up the charging point and the on-off switch. And the whole thing's quite heavy. I think it's about 353 grams, but flies extremely well with lots and lots of power. The motors don't seem to be N50s. They seem to be not far short of sort of Cymer X8 style, although maybe a little bit shorter in length, but they don't appear to be N50s, and they do appear to be waterproof properly with some kind of wrapping, but I'm not sure at the moment. Either way, very competent model. In my opinion, much better than the Q202 aircraft carrier, which although it was a very sort of event model to fly and it looked great in the air, basically handled like a ton of elephant muck, so in my opinion. And this is far more competent if you're going to use it on a swimming pool or in the sea, and has a self-righting function as well, which is quite unusual. Instructions wise, go through these usual WLToys instructions. Most things you need to know, fairly well laid out. All the details on spares, etc., what the transmitter does, as usual with these things, worth having a look. They're not as bad as some, and you know, they're fairly legible. So there you go on the instructions. Covers just about most things you need, and problem page on the back. I know it's there, it's only the manufacturer's opinion how it works, but it's definitely worth having a look. Transmitter wise, we're talking your Boggo standard WLToys. Always a nice transmitter in my opinion, nice to use. I'm not sure if there's a low noise amp on this, but certainly the range is up to 100 meters, so I personally have had no problems with mine. The usual things, rates, etc. Land C button on the top, which comes up as a brief function flash just there, and that will tilt the props forward or backwards for land use or taking off from the sea, etc. Selectable lights, the whole thing. Quite a nice little TX, obviously nowhere near hobby grade, but as far as toy grades, I've always liked them. Okay, so that's that, and then we've got the charging facility for it, which is a little bit of a downer. Okay, you've got an AC charger, covers the US and the States, so you're looking at 110 to 240 volts. That's fair enough. Balance charger, does the job, quite reasonable. The only criticism I do have is this thing, which is the lead that goes from the balance charger into the actual quad itself. There. My only criticism was that with constant use, this lead is almost bound to break, because if you're not careful pulling it out, you can pull the wires out of the plug. But hey ho, it works, and you can buy these from your local model store for replacement. And I can't see any other way of doing it because the thing has an integral battery. So there you go. Just to put this seal down at the back. There you go. So, as I say, one thing I do like about it, it is waterproof. You know, you can see the grease on various different points and seals. Awful lot of screws holding it together. So to get at the internal battery may be a problem, but it could be fun, and hey, at least you know how it went together, and I don't see any kind of like major problems. The servo that goes, I'll just turn it on. It's a quick normal on-off bind with this. The servo that makes it go from air to sea mode seems to be quite smooth. And again, to get at that may be a problem, but there again you just have to strip it down, but it's probably some kind of 9-gram device. Again, not the end of the world if anything goes wrong, but it doesn't feel notchy, and the whole thing feels as though it will last more than 5 minutes, which is not bad at all. Lights wise, very good, not bad at all. You're easily going to be able to fly at night with this. Red at the back where they should be, and green at the front, which, yeah, it's great. I could see that. I mean, this is sort of broad daylight. We're looking at 3:45 in the afternoon here, and they're really bright. There's even overhead lights. So turn it on and off. That's it. On it goes. What else now? Oh, accessories. You get a spare set of props, which will be handy because these props bend quite easily. I mean, they're easily bent back, but they bend quite easily, and if you're not careful, you get like a white effect on the plastic. So it might be worth buying extra ones of these. What else? Oh, screwdriver. You get a screwdriver. It's not as good as the Tarantula, etc., and the you know, some of the better screwdrivers going around, but hey, it's a screwdriver and it fits, so it can't be that bad. Just trying to think of anything else. I think that's about it, really. As I mentioned, flight performance wise, flies very well. Considering it weighs 325 grams, it does have quite a lot of power. I'm quite surprised. So there you go. If I can put any more videos on, I will do. I don't have a flat facility to push it as a car, and I also don't have a swimming pool, unfortunately, to throw it in you know, in water. But if you check out other videos on the net, then you can see it's pretty competent. As I said before, against the Q202, I'd rather have one of these any day, because I found the Q202 to be laborious to fly, to say the least. But hey, you know, each to his own, and I'm sorry to any Q202 owners, because I know the big lovable foamy monsters, and that's it. So there you go, folks. Any questions, drop us a line below, and if possible, subscribe if you want to be bored to death in future. Cheers.